So this is a 1965 Chrysler 300 non-letter series with a 383 big block, 4-barrel carb. The only thing that I've changed on this, like I said, that from when it was original, and from what I understand, everything else is original on this. Maybe the plugs, and obviously the plug wires have been changed throughout the years or whatever, and oil and stuff, but original motor, original carb, original radiator, all that stuff, all the AC and all that stuff's original. So this is the non-letter series. Now the non-letter series was kind of the luxury volume, so it was luxury with a little bit of sport, and basically they had a letter series which was only a 2-door. The non-letter series came in a 4-door or a 2-door. This is called a hard top, and it's not because of the hard top, okay? It's because between here and here there's no pillar. This is what makes it a hard top, okay? Other cars have a pillar here that go from here to here. So if we were to open up another car, you'd see a pillar when you open the doors that goes from here all the way up and connects. This is what makes this a hard top, okay? I did check all the little doodads work, radio works. It's an AM radio, original. The map light works, everything works. Brakes seem like they were working. Again, I towed it here, so this is the trunk. We call this the body trunk. As you can see, I have stuff in here. This is my little mobile kit that I bring with me if I'm just doing something quick. But the only other thing I did was I cleaned up. There was a little bit of surface rust in here. I cleaned it up and I spray painted it black. But I got jumper cables here, so I have an electric fuel pump if I need it. All the parts are in here. Let's pull these out. There's the original hubcaps. Okay. The original skirts. Original spare. Okay. This is the, I cleaned the mat off because it was sitting in here dusty, dirty. I cleaned it off. I'm gonna put it back in once we get it situated. There's the shroud for the fan. Here's the water pump. The exhaust manifold. Now they did, if you see here, this is where the manifold goes onto the engine. They did cut it here, so I'm either gonna have to get a new set, get some headers for it, or try to make these work, but we'll see when we get there. I did get new gaskets for it, just so that as we're going through and we're doing anything and putting all the stuff back on, we have new gaskets on it. But yeah, so let's move this. Just pull this down. It's a big trunk. You can see some re-chroming is needed, but I think, look, solid car. Okay, so a little bit of spots of rust. It's all surface rust, it's not through. I can promise you that underneath the car is beautiful. And there's no rust on it. I can show you the frame inside the engine bay, but I can't get under there right now with the camera. But if I show you right here, look at that. There's the radiator support. Like, this thing looks beautiful. So, yeah, I'll show you the engine. So, as they take it apart, they put all the stuff in the trunk. And these older cars, some of them open weird. It's already popped. So, I have done a teeny bit to this, and I will tell you what I did. So anyway, they had the wires were off. The coil is just sitting here right now. The carb was not on, and I did spark plugs. I had to put new wires, spark plugs, and I put an oil filter because there was no oil filter on it. So anyway, the young man who has the car, they decide they're gonna take it all. They're gonna take it all apart, rebuild the motor. They pull the water pump off. You know, they take everything off. Radiators out. This is a factory AC car. The AC is in the back. Here's the power steering. So I'm like, all right. So he says, listen, I know I'm going to take a loss on the car. He says, I've had a couple people look at it, but you know, they want to offer me crazy low prices. We come up with a deal. I pay him. I bring the car over here, and something says to me, the car's been sitting for 10 years in a garage. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just give it a once over. I went and grabbed my little borescope, which I think is a great little thing. I will put a link in the description. I have two different ones, but I will put the link in the description for the one that connects to your phone. Basically, it plugs into your phone and turns your phone into a borescope. Like, this thing is awesome. But anyway, so I check the cylinders and I look and I'm like, man, it looks really nice in there. I don't see any rust in there. I don't see none of that. So I said, all right, well, let me hook the battery to it. Cables are right here. So let me hook the battery to it and see what's going on. See if there's if I see anything smoking, anything that shouldn't be, you know. So I do that. I don't see nothing smoking. I don't smell nothing. And then I turn it forward. Now I know that it's not going to start, but I turn it to see if it's going to crank or anything, and I hear click, click. I said, man, that sounds awful lot like a starter. Now, I will be honest with you. When it comes to turning the crank bolt, okay, when a car hasn't been started in a long time, I get weary of that because I don't know what's going on in there, and it's just me. I know I've watched plenty of people do it, but if that bolt breaks, man, that's a headache I don't want. So I said, well, let me see if the starter will at least move it over a little. So I take the spark plugs out, you know, so there's no compression, and I go to start. I take the starter out. I take it down to the local store, parts store. I have them test it. Gets tested for free. Tested good. I said, okay, test good. I bring it back. I put it in, and I hear the click, and I'm like, man. So what I do is I go over and I smack the starter a couple times, and turn the key. As I'm turning the key, I had my son smack the starter, and it turned over. The motor turned over. It didn't start, but it turned over, and I'm like, wow, okay, cool. So it's not seized. I go back in, I look again just to make sure I didn't miss something. Everything's good. So that's where we're at. I did that. I got a new starter because I knew that I had to smack on the starter to get it to turn. So I get a new starter, and I figure, well, let me throw a little gas in there, just in the carburetor, and see if I can get it to just kick over. And I did that, and I did get it to kick over. I couldn't keep it running, obviously, because we have a lot of, you know, open ports here, and so, but I got it to kick over. But the starter went bad in one day, the new starter. So I took it back to the store, had them order me another one. They ordered me another one. These motors have two different starters. the one I have, which is, all right, so this is the original starter. This thing is big, okay? It works, but you need to smack the starter to get it to rotate. Once it does, it works a few times, then you might have to do it again. So when I ordered the new one looked like this, and I kept the original and I gave him another starter back as a core. So when that one went bad, it has a warranty on it, so I went and I ordered another starter. When I ordered the other starter, I'm going to show you what it looked like. It looked like this. Okay, so you can probably see how they look different. Now it says that this is an updated starter for this. So now the first one that I got like this, the nose, if I remember correctly, was a little longer than this. And I said, all right, well, it's an updated starter. So I put it in, and the starter turned over, but it wouldn't engage the flywheel. So I was like, wow, okay. So I took it back out. I said, listen, this doesn't work. So I went online and I used the number. Part number is 3250, but it showed a picture of this one was the starter. So I ordered it, and this is what came in. Now I've checked the nose, I've lined them up. They look like they're the same amount. So I'm gonna check this one to see if it works. If it doesn't work, I will send it back. I will get a starter rebuild kit, and I will order specifically this one from the parts store again. So we'll see what happens there. We're gonna install the starter, see if we can get it to turn over. So we're gonna try to put the new starter in and see what happens, see if it engages. If it doesn't, then we'll pull it back out and we'll move forward. I might just get a rebuild kit for this and try to rebuild this, or go to the parts store and actually order the original one that I got for this, and take it from there. So that's where we're at right now. We're getting ready to put the starter on and see where we're at, and then it's not so hard to get to. If you look, I'll see if I can get you a shot in there, but all right, so that's where the starter goes. Okay, and so it's easier to go underneath the car and do it. So that's what I'm going to try to do and see if we can get it to kick over. I have a little gas that I'm going to spray in there. This is just straight gas. So after that, we'll try to get it to kick over with a little gas in the carb and see if we can just get it to turn over.
All right, hit it.
That's what I love, guys. 1965 Chrysler 300. When you hit it, hurts your hand before it hurts the car. Doesn't bend, solid car. So what we have here today is a 1965 Chrysler 300 non-letter series. Okay. Anybody that's familiar with Mopars knows that there's a letter series and a non-letter series. The letter series, if I'm not mistaken, was the Super Sport or the Sporty edition. The non-letter series is a more luxury sporty edition. So Silver Mist, that's what it is. Mopar back in the 60s, they were a little strange, shall we say. The way they do their data plates, and I'll show you I'll cut to a data plate or put it around here somewhere so you can see it. The way to see what the car came with and what it didn't come with, it's a little different than everybody else did. So I'm still doing research on figuring it out. It's not as easy to find the information on these. Now, I have a friend of mine who told me if I needed to get the information, he has somebody that I can talk to. So I will be doing that. But to give you a little background on the car, I purchased the car from someone. We became fast friends. He's probably watching, so you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Basically, the person who originally owned this bought the car, drove the car until he couldn't drive no more, and then he placed it in the garage where it sat for 10 years. That gentleman then, unfortunately passed away and left the car to his niece's husband, whom him and his best friend are the guys that I bought it from. So when they got it, they intended to get it running and leave it the way it was and just run it, because this is all original. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But it was all original. But they thought, from my understanding, that the motor was seized. They couldn't get it to start. Then he ended up getting another car. This got put on the back burner, decided to sell it. I bought it. I had it towed here. So what I've done so far was I purchased a borescope. I purchased a borescope, or basically a camera that I can connect to my phone and look into places. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 20 bucks, maybe 30 bucks. It wasn't real expensive. It might have even been cheaper than that. I'll look it up and I'll put a link in the description from Amazon. So I used that to look into the cylinder bores because they said that it was seized. I wanted to see what the inside of the motor looked like, so that's what I did. I didn't see anything. It looked rather nice in there. So I said, okay, well, let's start there. I went and, just playing around, looking, seeing what's there, seeing how the wiring was, making sure that, looking at the frame, trying to see where I was at. I mean, I did all this before, but I didn't get in depth. I did it. Come to find out, I said, let me take the starter because it was already off. Let me take it and see if it's still good. Took it down to AutoZone. They tested it for free. Starter tested good. Said, okay. I went to turn the car over. I just put a battery to it, didn't connect anything, didn't put anything in it, the radiator's out, everything's out here. So we'll get to the carb and everything, but there's no radiator, there's no water pump, the AC compressor is not here. They took all that off. The heater hoses are not connected, okay? So I just wanted to see if the car would do anything, move, turn over, whatever. There was no spark plugs in it or anything. No wires, no spark plug wires or nothing on there. I turned it and it didn't do nothing, it clicked. Well, I've been playing with cars for quite some time, so I knew to check the starter. Now, since I had already tested the starter and it tested good, I smacked it with a little piece of pipe I had, and as I was turning it, it started to turn the motor. I almost did a backflip, but I might have hurt myself if I'd have tried that. Anyway, so I tested it. It started turning the motor over. I said, okay, good to go. Now, moving from there, I figured, okay, well, let me get the spark plugs in, let me get the spark plug wires on, and I did that. I wanted to see if there was spark, see how the carburetor was, because I knew it was sitting. And as I was looking at the carburetor and I did a little more research, Uncle Tony's Garage, who has a YouTube channel, and I will put his channel in my description below. This guy's amazing when it comes to Mopars. He knows his stuff, and I refer back to him and Dylan McCool, and I'll put his channel below. I don't know these guys, but I've gotten a lot of great information about Mopars from them. And if you really need to know something about Mopars, go check them out. They're really awesome guys. So anyway, I went and got a carburetor because I figured, yeah, I could clean the old one, but it's been sitting for 10 years. I'm not doing that. So I got a carburetor. Now, because I own a 1982 Dodge D150, I'm a little familiar with Mopar's ignition system. Their ignition control module, which is right here, okay, they're known to go bad. They go bad left and right. So I got another one of those, and I got another coil, ignition coil. Matter of fact, that's pretty hot. Let me take this off. All right. So what I noticed is I had it to charge the battery, and the coil is pretty hot, like hot enough to burn you. So I'll have to look into the wiring, make sure everything's good. I had that same problem with my 82 Dodge D150, which you'll see probably one of the next videos. I'll give you a little walk around of it. I haven't decided what we're doing with that yet. Anyway, ignition coil, ignition control module, and carburetor. The only things I've done. So what I've done now is I have a lot of stuff in the trunk that goes with this car. Everything is here, from the skirts. So there's a little rust on them, but it's all surface stuff. But yeah, so I have the skirts. I have the hubcaps. I have 4. I have a matching set. Now they're dirty, we'll clean them up. Look at these things, guys. That's beautiful right there. A little dirty. Oh, sorry, Gunner. Gunner's my, well, let me rephrase that. Gunner's my wife's dog. This is a factory AC car. There's some stuff in here. I apologize, but I'm going to open this up. Ooh, we need WD-40 for that. Alright guys, so what we just did is, actually it'll speed through. We cleaned out the car a little bit so you can see the car and what it looks like. So for the most part, need some material for the front seat, but this is all original, guys. These are some of the parts for under the hood. You're gonna see more. These are your ignition control modules. This is the one that was on the car, so somebody's already changed it and had a problem. This is a replacement. It has the number on there. Okay, this one is smoked. This is one that I had bought for the Dodge that I have, and I'll get into that when I show you the Dodge, the whole story behind that. But both of these were no good, so I'm just holding on to them. I don't know why. This is the original radiator. I want to send this out to get repaired because it's the original radiator. Newer radiators have plastic. I'm not a fan. Plus, this is a classic car. We're gonna try to hold on to this as long as possible. We still have to clean the interior and stuff. That's why I had the vacuum out and stuff like that. But this is all original. Earlier, guys, I was talking about the coil. Now, I got my stuff from AutoZone. The reason I did is because AutoZone's right up the street. So the ignition control module, the coil, and spark plugs, and spark plug wires. I have the original ones in here. Well, they're older. They're not original, but they're older. Everything that I do to the vehicle, I will keep the boxes or at least take off part, you know, so I can put it in a scrapbook or something to show what I did to get it running. And then we already know what this is, guys. This is the body trunk. Everybody comes up and says, man, you can fit a lot of bodies in there. Yeah, you can. This is the replacement starter that I don't have to put in. I'm using the one that was on there. Here's the original AC compressor. I wish that this hadn't come apart like it did. I will see if I can see if we can get this. So this is the original mat, but it's seen better days. I'm gonna see if I can find another one to replace it, but that's a shame. But you know, it happens. So here's the original carburetor, guys. As you can see, it really just needs to be cleaned really well. And for me, it was just easier for me to just get another one. Basically, it's old, it's corroded, it's nasty. Here it is. It's a Carter AFB. Guys, growing up, my stepfather and everybody that I ever played with cars that taught me about cars, they were all Holley guys. You get a Holley carburetor or a Edelbrock, and I've always used Holley, so I don't know much about the Carters. You know, I know some of them were good. I've heard that these weren't as good, so I got another one. Here's the exhaust manifold. Now this is where I need to decide what I'm doing. But this is the original exhaust manifold. Now, I don't know who did it, but somebody cut it off here. So I need to get another Y pipe. So there's no Y pipe on here that goes from each side of the manifold into the exhaust. Here's the original coil. Radiator hoses. This is pretty cool. So this is the original mat that was back here, and I kind of folded it up because I didn't want it to get destroyed. That's pretty cool. So once this is all taken care of and we got it back together, we'll stick this back in, we'll clean it, we'll stick it back in and see how it looks. There's a company called Fibernew. They deal with restoring plastics and car upholstery. So I'm going to get in contact with them and see if it's something that we can do with this. I don't know to what level, so I need to speak with someone, and we'll get to that point when we're closer to having it running the way we want it. Even the original jack location sticker is here, so it's pretty cool, guys. Look at this. Talk about an old tire. So this is a 383 big block with a 4-barrel carb. The reason they called Chrysler 300s 300s is because they came factory with over 300 horsepower. I've been doing my research. I'm a Ford guy. Funny thing is, I think I have more Dodges than I do Fords. But I really like the car. I like the body. It's a beautiful car, guys. It's amazing. Look at this. Needs to be cleaned, obviously, but like, this is beautiful. I would drive it just the way it is. We get it running, just drive it the way it is. It's a beautiful car. So guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean up the mess and everything, and then we'll get situated and let the battery charge a little bit, and we'll go about seeing if we can get it started. All right guys, I'm back. So I want to show you something real quick. So what I've done is, because I did not take the car apart, I just started kind of just sticking stuff in here to see where it goes. I know this goes here because this bolt right here is broke. Okay, and the reason I know that this bolt goes there is because I had to remove this part from there before I put this on. So that told me where the bolt went, and that allowed me to get an idea where everything goes. Again, I did not take this car apart, so I don't know where everything goes. And this is my first Chrysler 300. Not my first Dodge, but my first Chrysler 300. So I didn't know where everything went, so I've been just trying to figure out and see what bolts go where and if they fit and what has to happen. Anyway, so we are going to attempt to start. As you can see, I have a fuel line running from here to the pump to a gas can over here. Now, people who know, these little pumps are great. They're good for a lot of things. So this is just to get fuel up to the bowl of the carburetor, and that's what I did. I just filled it up, so I'm not going to be hooking the pump up. I filled up the bowl. It should give it enough to start real quick. I'm not going to let it run for long because, again, I don't have any radiator in, I don't have the fan on, I don't have none of that, so I don't want to destroy the engine. This is just to get it to turn over, see if we're moving in the right direction. Well,
I think you scared the kids.
I'm going to say that that was a success. Loud, but that was a success. It needs to run. We're going to get everything put back together, and we'll let it run and burn off all the stuff. I mean, I did a little bit of cleaning just to see what the, what the engine looked like and stuff, and so I've cleaned this stuff here. So again, it's going to smoke, but success. We're moving in the right direction. So we'll move forward with getting everything put back on here, and then we'll see how the transmission does. All right, guys, we'll be back.
Hey guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of new videos.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to make Victor get a real job.
I'm getting there. It's hot. Like wasabi. How can I blame you?
Ugh.
Damn.
That's getting cut out for sure.
Every highway leads me back to you.